We're live. All right, there we go. The weekly Alaboom is in session here on February 4th, 2015. Currently, I have Captain America there in the background. I have Rhiannon and Marty, and
I'm back.
And I got Matt back now, not Captain America, and I got my buddy Keith and David Taylor, and of course the corporate stooge Bobby Stickle in session. So how's everybody doing today?
Fine.
I thought Scott was the corporate stooge. We got two stooges?
Well, he is. Yeah, we do. But
we do different kinds of stooges, I guess.
True. So, I usually try to play this a little fast and loose or whatever. But I just was telling you guys before we went live that my XCOM mega hour-long review went live. So thank you, Bobby, for sending me the copy. And then, who else has played it in here besides me and Bobby? Marty, you played it? Okay. Anybody
Yes,
else?
I played it 3 times this weekend.
All right. Rhiannon, no? Nope. All right.
Sitting right next to me. I just got it yesterday, but I haven't played it yet.
You haven't played it yet? All right. So, have you monkeyed with the app at all yet, Matt?
Yeah, I goofed around. I watched Rodney's video on it yesterday to kind of learn it, so I'm fairly familiar with it.
Okay. I mean, I knew, actually, now that you mentioned that, I knew Marty had played it because we had talked about it the other day. So, Marty, do you still, you dig it? You still like it?
I do. I really like it a lot. I think it's a good thematic game, and as we're going to be recording tomorrow night, I'm going to be talking about it on the episode, and people ask me, what did you think? And I said, I think some people are going to really like it. I think some people are really going to dislike it, too, because of the push your luck element. Some people who don't like randomness, I think, aren't going to go for it.
It does have one thing that, I mean, if you get a bad roll, you're just hosed. I mean, we played a game where, it was just one of the command person just had a horrible turn. He lost 7 interceptors, and we were just completely destroyed after that because there was no way we could get enough money to get him back in the air, and so the UFOs just took over. So one really bad turn can sink you pretty quick, and usually you play co-ops, and there's usually some way that you can come back from a devastating turn like that, but it's still, like you said, it's still a lot of fun. I grew up playing the computer games, so it was kind of neat to see the board game version.
It's as hard as the computer game.
Well, the computer game, once you learned it, you could kind of game it a little bit. You'd kind of figure out the certain things that you had to do to stay alive. But actually, in my opinion, the old school one, the one that came out in the early '90s, was a tougher computer game.
Every video game in the early '90s was harder.
No, that's true. They didn't hold your hand as they walked you through everything. But was that a scoff, Bobby?
No.
Or did you agree?
I agreed.
Okay. Well, yeah, because it's weird, because when you played, who grew up? I know you're old like me, Marty, and Keith, you're old like me, right?
Right.
And David, how old are you? I keep forgetting.
43.
So yeah, you're old. You're the same age as me. So
And
yeah,
me.
I grew up if I wanted to play a game like a game with graphics and a joystick and stuff, I used to get on my bike and ride bike to the mall and go to the Pirates Den arcade with my hard-earned quarters and
Oh, sure.
yeah, and sit there and plunk quarters into Dragon's Lair and what have you and play stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Okay, speaking of which, so I watched this video the other day. It was like on IGN where they ranked the top 10 hardest games of all time. And since some of you are old schoolers, can you name the top 3? 2 of them are old, 1 of them's modern.
are you talking are these old coin-op arcade games, or are these console games, or what?
It's both console and co-op and PC.
Robotron 2024.
No.
Robotron wasn't. It wasn't. I remember the old Defender game was.
Defender
really
too, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Defender
that
was.
pretty crazy.
Are we talking about
Because
the actual hardest games or what we think are the hardest games?
Well, it was just what they ranked as the hardest games, and in the top 3, I would all say are probably deserve to be up there.
Dragon Slayer's got to be up there.
No.
No, I could beat Dragon's Lair.
Yeah, that was my claim.
Okay.
No,
How about
get this. Wait, I gotta tell the story, David. Go ahead. So get this. This is how lame I was. When I was like 16, 17 years old, I bought a book. We used to buy books to teach you how to beat arcade games, and I bought a book that I remember I was in like some B. Dalton bookstore or whatever, and I saw this book and it was How to Beat Dragon's Lair, and I was so excited, and it was all the little codes to up, down, left, right, or whatever, and sword to get through all the things, and so I could put back when it was either 50 cents or a quarter, I could beat it without losing a life, and then this was back when the arcade actually put the second
Top screen.
TV screen, the top screen, so people could watch you play. And so then I get to the end, and depending on my mood, because I was such a squirrely little cocky bastard kid, and people would be so anxious to watch me win the game, I would purposely either lose to the dragon so they wouldn't get to see it, or because this is how lame it was. People knew that that's the kid that can beat Dragon Slayer in 1 quarter or whatever, And so I used to go in and I used to go in there. And then I get to the end and I defeat the dragon. You throw your sword and you kill him. And then there's that they give you that 3-minute little cutscene of grabbing that little slutty
Princess Daphne.
Princess Daphne. And but I was so cool. I walked away. I didn't even bother putting my initials in or anything. I've seen this ending before, gentlemen. I don't need to see this, And I go and I walk away and go play Mr. Dew's Castle or something, and because I was that good.
So here's my Dragon's Lair story.
Go ahead.
So we used to have, y'all remember putt-putts?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we have one at the arcade, and so I was wanting to figure this game out. So I would go there with index cards, and I would stand behind people who were better than me and write down their moves for every screen, and then go home and memorize it. And finally I found somebody that could beat the dragon, and to this day I still have that index card in a album somewhere that has all the final moves for killing the final dragon.
Nice.
Nerd.
Uber geek.
I used to go to a video arcade, with the quarters in and all that. One day I went after work, and there was an experimental laser in the video arcade, and it shot me, and it put me into the arcade game, and then all these computers low, and it gave me a freak. They're don't lose this frisbee, and I was I just want to get out of here.
All right, so here they are, the top 3 hardest games.
Wait, before you say it, Battletoads, maybe Double Dragon, and I know the model.
I was gonna
Oh
say.
God, Double Dragon's easy.
Battletoads is dumb because it was so.
That one motorbike level, ridiculous. Contra for Sega Genesis, Contra Hardcore, that game was ridiculous.
Battletoads is number 1. Good. Somebody said number 2.
Defender.
Dark Souls.
Dark Souls. I was gonna say Dark Souls. The old Superman N64 game. They used to say that one was stupidly tough too.
One of the worst games ever. Number 3.
Go ahead.
Super Ghouls and Ghosts.
Remember,
you had to beat it twice.
Yeah. And one hit killed you. It was
Yes.
and no matter what. It didn't matter what hit you, if it was a mouse or dragon breath.
Well, you got one hit and you get down to your underwear, and then
That's it. Yep.
Yeah, but that's real life.
Yeah.
You sound like arguments you used to have in D&D where people would argue about this, and then inevitably some moron would say, "Well, in real life it wouldn't work like that." And I'd say, "In real life, if I shot you with a crossbow, you'd be dead. You wouldn't take 3 points of damage." So let's not even discuss it. But no, that's an interesting list. I mean, I wish they had break the list out to different consoles and stuff. I mean, that's how I'd go with it. I mean, but when you kind of go all across the spectrum, it's kind of tough to figure out. Yeah, remember the old crossbow game, that you played, and you'd shoot the crossbow.
Get the little guys
walk across.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was another great one. I love that.
That was a 50 center at the Aladdin's Castle, so it didn't get to play it as much,
Oh yeah, I mean
You
that's
had
how
an
they
Aladdin's
jam.
Castle at your mall? You had an Aladdin's Castle, man? That's what we had in Concord, New Hampshire. That's
I had
funny.
to go to Bloomington to go there, but yeah.
Wow. I wonder if it must have been a franchise of
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that must have been an arcade franchise.
That's what we had too. Yeah, we had Aladdin's Castle.
Up in North Dakota, the chain that we had were called the Bump and Tilt, and they actually had bumper cars inside. There was like a bumper car thing, and then they had Tilt for like all the arcade games. And I remember when I was like 16. No, I was in junior high. I was like 12 or 13 years old, and I had my sister was a varsity basketball cheerleader, and so when the high school team went to state, I had to go with, and it was like the most boring weekend of my entire life. I didn't want to go watch basketball at all. And my mom took pity on me, and she said, "Well, find something to do in, stupid small town North Dakota somewhere." And I was like, "All right." And then they had a bump and tilt, and I was like, "Take me to this bump and tilt." She's like, "Okay." And she's like, "Well, I'll give you $10 at the quarters." And I was like, "That's cool." And then I'll come get you in a couple hours. And I was like, "All right, that's cool." And so I would go into the bump and tilt, and it's like barren. There's like nobody in there. I was like, "What the hell?" There's nobody in there playing arcade games. And I walk up and I was like, there's no change machines. And I was like, "Well, I need a change machine or whatever." And they're like, "Oh no, it's like you just pay $7 and you just for the entire day. All the games are set up to play for free." And I was like, "This is the greatest piece of the entire world." My mom came to give me 2 hours. I was so mad. I was like, "No, I have to stay here. I still haven't played that entire side of the building."
I'm moving in here. No.
And I convinced her. I convinced her that to come back like 3 hours later. I remember that was like the coolest thing that ever happened to me. I was like, does nobody know about this? I mean, where's all the people? If I had this, I'd be here all day long. But what do you? Wow. See, this is what happens. This is what happens when you have a game like XCOM that adds a PC or app element. We don't even talk about board games anymore. We just talk about video games. It's the death of the industry. See, told you.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have apps.
Full circle. Hey, did you know right now Anthony Ricano's live with Barry Reynolds? I say we go crash their channel and mess them up. Let's go spam in the comments.
I kind of miss Anthony. Yeah. We need somebody with crappy audio. So.
Well, yeah. I need somebody to.
McNugget, 3-piece chicken McNugget.
That was too funny, man.
Oh, so has anybody else been playing anything lately? Anything new besides XCOM?
Steam.
What? I played Arbor last night for the first time.
I didn't. Okay, back up. I did not like Steam Park at all. And you know what it came down to? You know what it came down to for me? Those dice are like so super light. I just it really came down to that for me. They roll forever, and it's just like I don't like the feel of the component. I mean, it's like I want there to be some weight to that. I mean, maybe I've just played too much D&D, and I want like a nice thick die in my hand. Shut your mouth, Brandon.
God damn it.
The game's got some fast-moving elements to it, but the components are pretty fiddly. So if you don't have nimble fingers, you're going to be ham-handing stuff all night and knocking stuff over. And I can see that, but I enjoy it.
I mean, the artwork is cool and everything like that, and I don't know. I mean, I think I ended up I did a review of it and I kind of panned it, and then I ended up just I ended up giving it away actually to somebody that liked it more than me. I was just like, yeah, you can have it. So whatever. Anyway, what was the other game somebody said?
Played Arbor for the first time last night. Got my copy.
Arbor?
Harbor.
Harbor. Sorry, it's that southern thing. Harbor.
Well, I mean, I did a review of that like a year ago. Jeez, can we get something new?
Yeah, but all the lay people just finally now got their copies. So.
Yeah, I gotta call TMG. They should have sent me my copy, obviously, but they didn't.
Oh, they sent me two. They sent me one to give away. I might give you one if you want me to.
No, he'll hook me up, I'm sure. Michael Mendez, name dropper, is a pretty cool guy, so I'm sure he'll hook me up. But so I keep going to Fun Again, and I hardly ever buy anything from funagain.com, but they're the only place in town that has Arkwright, and I keep almost buying it for $100. I need somebody to talk me off the ledge.
Don't do it.
That's all I have to offer you.
What'd you say, Brianna?
I said it's a very heavy box. That's all I have to offer you.
Wow.
You haven't played it?
No.
Thank you.
It had
You own
like
it.
8 rule books, so I didn't read any of them. I was just waiting for someone else to do it.
So you own it then, is what you're trying to say.
My friend has it.
Well, now I know you're
hosts-
lying. You don't have any friends.
Well, okay, the guy who lets me play games at his house once a week owns it.
Your husband.
And he hosts a convention up here right after Essen, and he sends mules to Essen, and they bring all the games back, and then he does the convention, and then he keeps the games.
That must be expensive. How much does it cost to buy a ticket for a mule?
I don't know. It's usually people that are just going anyway that he knows, and then they volunteer to do it. Like
Oh,
a bunch of
you said like it's a person. I thought like it was actual like animal.
Well, I don't know what they do once they get to Germany. Who knows? They could bring one behind them.
I suppose. Yeah. No, I mean it's like one of those completionist things because I have like Ruhr Schifffahrt and I have Coal and Colony, and so it's like and that's like the third one of their like Coal series or whatever. And I just like part of me says I just should have it just to almost just to have it. It's kind of like owning what's the name of the company? Like it's kind of owning Splotter games. You play them like once every year and a half or so.
Don't get me started.
It's like what? What do you got to say about Splotter there, Bobby?
So here's I don't know what anybody else's experience is with Splotter, but they are games that are well over $100 retail, and it's just a bunch of components dumped in a box. There's no insert, nothing's bagged. It's just literally it's like the game was pre-punched and everything was poured into a box randomly with a lid on it. There's nothing printed on the box. There's an expansion that's like $80 that comes in a plastic bag. It's two guys from Holland who are so depressing. It's a matter. We have a meeting with them. It's a matter of who's going to commit suicide first. Yeah, it's like, hey, if you lowered the MSRP and maybe up the components a bit, the games are great enough. We can sell a lot of them. They're just like, no, we don't want to make any more. Nah. And it's an aggravating experience, and I don't know why people pay so much money for those games. It's beyond me. Like Roads and Boats apparently is people's holy grail game, and I'm just like, I don't get it.
They're rare, so like when they actually do come back into print, like you need to grab it while you only have it. So like they kind of force their own, what's what I'm looking for here? God, I can't even think of the name. Basically, they create their own rarity, if you will.
Right.
So like if they go to Essen and they make like 700 copies of whatever, if you don't get one, you're not going to get a copy of the game. And they have 3 really good games, in my opinion. They have Indonesia, which is an excellent game.
Yes, it is.
Roads and Boats. Roads is a really fun game, but Antiquity is, if you can slog through it, is a great like 2-3 player game. I've had a couple people say that Zimbabwe is really awesome. I played it once. I thought it was good. But I didn't think it was amazing. But I don't know. It's weird. I mean, it's like, okay, now you're getting me going off on a rant here, but I mean, Essen has those like weird 3 or 4 people that like just all they do is like these boutique games, if you will. It's like it's like the Fragor brothers. It's like every year we're just
what I was gonna say next.
Yeah.
Those.
Go ahead.
No. I was just gonna say those were the next guys that came to mind.
Yeah, I mean, and then in a way, Spielworks is kind of the same way, though they're kind of actually like you get the impression they kind of actually want to make money, because they're working now with like Stronghold games and everything and getting the stuff that's interesting. It's like Spielworks takes like their games and then they just kind of hope they get popular and then like they just throw them out there and then it's like, oh, okay, people really want to buy this one. Okay, well then now we'll make more, which I guess is a pretty good way to do it. I mean, business line. I mean, if you're only going to make like a 500 run copy of whatever, of Agora or La Granja or whatever, or Grania or whatever you want to call it, and then it catches on and moves forward from there. But I mean, I've never been to Essen, but from what I understand, Essen has tons of those little tiny game companies with their one little game they've created, and the 250 copies they bring with them is all the copies in the world at that moment. So
they do. It's funny you said boutique games because like that's this made-up category that we on the distribution side refer to it as well, and I think you nailed it spot on. So you've got Slaughter that frustrates the hell out of me, and like again, $120 game with half a box, components dumped in loose. The cover art looks like my 4-year-old drew it in crayon. And then on the other side of the spectrum, you've got the Fragor brothers, which essentially do the same thing, but I think their production quality and the way they handle the release of the games is much better. And my one and only experience with them was I went up to them at their Essen booth, and I was like, hey, I backed one of your games, but I haven't paid for it yet, so I need to pay for it here. I'm like, you haven't paid for it yet? And the guy put me in a headlock and gave me like an old school noogie, and he didn't even know me. And I was like, it's pretty cool. So I liked that, but Slaughter drives me bonkers.
Well, I mean, well, the Frager Brothers, it's like, and this is kind of giving something away, and maybe I shouldn't even say this, but I mean, everybody should, what is it? It's everybody. I think everybody should pre-order and get a copy of it because they can get it realistically, kind of decently cheap. They can get whatever Frager Brothers game that comes out that year, and they can get it for $70 or $75. When it finally does come over, Fun Again charges like $125 for it, and then if you wait 6 months, it's out of print, and if you don't like it, somebody will give you like $200 for it. So it's like it's the perfect game. If you're a board game investor, if you will, it's something that everybody should do. Now, of course, I've given that away, and everybody's going to say, "Oh, geez," and so I've ruined it, and I won't be able to pre-order mine.
Yeah,
Did anybody see or
it's a
get
little
the,
more than that. It's about $100, but yeah. But still,
What was your question, Bobby?
I was going to say, did anybody see the Snow Tales 2 that they put out 2 Essens ago?
I have it.
That was the one that I didn't pick up. I wasn't interested in it. I don't know why. Probably because I didn't like Snow Tales 1.
They were out.
I have it. I like it. It's a fun game.
Like you played it? Okay, good.
Yeah, I own it. It's a good game.
Got the little plastic trees in it and everything.
Yeah, they shed all over the place, but it's a fun little racing game. But
yeah.
And I got the new one, and I haven't played it, so it's a Dragon Scroll.
Here's a good boring. Oh yeah, I got Dragon Scrolls too. So I haven't even opened it. Dragon Scrolls is sitting in shrink, like right over there. I haven't even bothered opening it yet. I don't know. It's just I got too much stuff. Here's a good question. Does everybody have? I mean, I don't know, Keith. You own everything, so. But does anybody truly have? Well, I mean,
I see the shelf behind you every video, so.
Yeah. No. Like a Grail game. Like, do people still in this group right now? Do you still have Grail games that you just can't find that you wish you could?
I don't have one because I've been in the hobby 5 or 6 years, and there's I don't have a experience with an older game that's hard to get that I have a desire to have because I've never played it yet. So I don't have one.
I recently played COG by Andreas Setting, and it was by some 3-letter company that only printed it themselves, and it looks like they printed it themselves. And so it's not the best looking game in the whole world, but I really want it. I made my own PNP version actually because I wanted it that badly. I was like, I'm going to make this game. I have the rules in English, and yes, I'm going to do it. So
what was it called?
COG, Kogge.
That doesn't sound like a real name.
It's a real name.
You're making it up.
I'm looking it up right now.
But I played that 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, whatever the last time that guy let me go to his house to play games.
Is that what you're calling it now?
With that, yes.
Boy, this game looks really boring.
It is very cutthroat. It looks like, not that great. And when he was reading the rules to us, I was like, but it was so good because you can totally screw people over and steal their stuff and attack them. And yeah, it was good. I liked it a lot.
It's the JKLM games. Oh, we all know what happened to them. So they're gone forever.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? My rule has always been that if a game's good enough, it'll get reprinted. It's just a matter of time. So.
I don't know if my Grail game is actually a game or not. Like, it could be considered a game, but some might call it a toy. Remember back in the day, there was something called Crossbows and Catapults?
Yes!
Oh, yes.
I have a, like, kind of fake redo of that from, like, 6 or 7 years ago.
The redo was...
Yeah, I know, but it's the closest I could get.
It is. Yeah, but, like, that thing... If you look up the base game and you can find all the pieces of tech on eBay, it's hundreds. And if you're somehow able to track down those little, I don't know what else to call them other than expansions, those are just incredibly hard to find. They had like a Trojan horse, and everything's predicated on rubber band-powered siege engines that fire solid plastic caroms, and my sister and I used to put like 8 rubber bands on the thing. To the point
Everybody
where
did.
Pull the catapult back, the plastic's turning white, and we would take chunks out of the plate glass window. And
we used to put dents in the sheetrock in my basement. Literally, you'd lodge the discs in the wall.
Absolutely. There were teeth lost in that. It was the greatest game.
Hey, Bobby, something for you. I have in my house the original jarts. Remember those lawn darts, the ones that are like illegal to have now because you kill people? I've got them.
The metal ones?
Yes.
How much you want for them?
Well, that's illegal. He can't sell them. You're asking him to commit a crime right now.
So that's actually a family tradition of mine. Every 4th of July, my dad and I get really drunk and play with those original metal jarts, and that's my jarts story.
And they got rid of those. I was so disappointed when they got rid of them. They turned around with those little round things with the it's basically like the sand. You just they look like little shuttles you throw across the yard. And those
God.
So speaking of jarts.
Before we sub-reference again, because that's what we do here all the time. If you ever look up the game, it's called Pirates on the High Seas. It was a Ravensburger game. It's kind of like that. It's like Crossbows and Catapults, but you use these 2 plastic ships, and you have like a duel.
Oh, yeah.
And that's something that
I played
I've
it at
always
BGG
wanted to find a copy of that too.
I played it at BGG.
I've always wanted to find that too. But like every time I look, it's like $100, and it's just like, ugh. But I keep thinking that would be an amazing game to have with my kids, just goof around with.
Scott Morris and I checked that out of the library and played it at like 3 a.m. at BGG-Con.
Was it any fun?
Sure, I kept shooting Scott in his nuts with it.
Nice. All right. Well, before we forget, Matt, do you have a Grail game?
Mine aren't too exciting. I honestly have only been in the hobby for maybe 4 years or so, so it's
okay. Then we'll skip you. Okay.
I kind of new to it. I was a video gamer for a long time and kind of fell into it. I guess.
And then I bet you just love this new app thing that we're going to with the board games, though, huh?
I was skeptical like anybody else, but like I said, I'm a big fan of Golem Arcana. Like I don't play X-Wing anymore, even though they're totally separate miniature style games, but. X-Wing is fun, but it's a pain in the ass to set up. It takes an hour for my friends to pick their team and put out the cards and figure out their points. And they can take out their smartphone and build their Golem Arcana armies at work, and then they show up at my house and we play a full game in a half an hour. So I'm not totally against the app thing. I kind of moved away from video games. I don't play them nearly as much anymore. But anyway, not that long. But Grail games, I would say. As stupid as it is, Lord of the Rings, or the War of the Ring Collector's Edition, that's not really a Grail game because I have the regular edition, but just looking at the other edition, I'm never going to paint miniatures ever. I don't have the time to do that, and I will make them look horrible. So that game, having, 250 miniatures pre-painted with storage for all of them, that's the coolest thing I've ever seen. And, a larger board and everything being all top-notch and a huge Elvish tome, why would you not want that? Best game ever.
But there was a guy, and I'll try to find the link for it, but there was a guy that actually showed, he said it was like a how to paint the War of the Rings miniatures, so they pop. They wouldn't be super detailed, but the way you could paint them, make the game kind of pop for you, and it was like even a dummy could do it. I'll find a link. It was actually pretty good. It was like, you don't really have to spend an hour on each figure or anything like that. It was something that he was able to do in an evening, and it was actually pretty cool looking. So
I might be able to.
I'm a dummy. Yeah, I'll do that and send that to you. Marty, what about you? Grail game?
I kind of have everything that I want, but I'm kind of along on Matt's path in that there's a couple deluxe limited editions I wish I had bought. One of them is War of the Ring, but the other is I wish I had bought the Puerto Rico limited anniversary edition.
Oh yeah.
And I can find on eBay for $200-300, but I'm not going to pay it for it because that's like my all-time favorite classic style game. I wish I'd bought that version when it came out, and I missed it.
I have a copy in shrink in my game room. I can go get it and show it to you here.
Unless you're going to put it in a box and send it to me, no, I don't want to see it.
The only reason why that's super expensive is because like the coins they used, technically it couldn't be sold in America, like because of the size of them or something, or there was something weird about it. I remember hearing about it. It was like technically like not like contraband or whatever, but it was just like something about it. So they I remember seeing something with Jay at Rio Grande. He was like, yeah, we'll never sell this version again in America just because we can't. It's like he had like a one-time excuse or something to get it done. But
we sold that game.
You did?
Yeah. We had it and sold it, and it was a limited run. We only got so much of it. We sold through it, and it was done. I never heard the story about that. Maybe that's why it never came back.
Yeah, that's why he said he wouldn't get it reprinted. I think it was $75. I think it was.
You're a fool, Marty, a fool.
I remember that was like one of the last things I ever bought from Boards and Bits before they went under. Like I got it because he had them for $60. It was the cheapest that anybody would sell them, and I was just like, I should probably buy one because when is it gonna, just get it, and so I got it. But
so I like the topic of the collector's version.
What about the Small World collector's version?
I was gonna say the Small World is really nice. Has anyone seen the Settlers of Japan?
What an overproduced. Yeah, I've seen that Settlers of Japan one. But that overproduced Small World. I mean, I understand people love that game, but I mean, I kind of look at that as like the Tokaido overproduced version. It's just like, why of all the games that you make look this beautiful, why would you do this?
So I have a business question then about collector's editions.
Shoot.
What do you want to see in a collector's edition? If the game is just merely overproduced and that has no value to you, what does make you want to buy a collector's version of a game you already know and play?
Alternate art, probably, or really like tricked out artwork. That would probably be the big thing that stands out to me. Maybe some special components.
I mean, for me, most of it is just being overproduced. That's what makes it collectible.
I mean, I think like Matt said, like you having like if you could get a game that has a ton of minis that are pre-painted. I mean, that's always nice, and not like pre-painted like a bunch of glob on there or whatever. It's just like
not like WizKid style, but like good.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't say it.
I don't mind. Better than what I could do.
A company that WizKids drives me crazy. I would like what I want is usually a bigger board. I mean, because I usually play on a bigger table, so I always want a bigger board. I always hate when I run out of space on the board, and I mean just overproduced. But I can't really think of a game like right now that I own that I'd be like, God, I really want an overproduced version of that. I mean, if I wanted to, I can go buy all the little Arkham Horror minis if I wanted to overproduce, like, so I could have those in Eldritch Horror. But I would never do that. I mean, that's just because that doesn't really add anything to that game for me. Gosh, I don't know. I usually end up, truth be told, buying collector's editions of games just because I know that we're worth money later. And so if I do end up, like if somebody has, like my Grail, which I'll never find, I'll never get, and it makes me sad. It's an old Viking war game called Viking AT Viking ATID. It's like Vikingidid or something like that. Came out in like 1997. Like you can't find copies. It's just all but gone. It's like some big monolith of a game. Like every copy you see for sale is like for $400. It's just ridiculous. But I mean, like if somehow I could have like 2 or 3 Grail games that like somebody else would want and have a copy of that, then maybe I could finally like have that one game that I could track down and play. So if anybody out there loves me and they're Swedish and they have a copy of that game and reason.
Wait a minute, it's called Viking ATID.
Yeah, Vikingidid, or like it's
That's Vicodin.
Viking.
Viking a two.
No, like the company that produced it here. I'll look it up again. They were called Troll Spell, and they were out of Sweden. Yeah, you'll never find a copy. I mean, I'm just telling you.
That's
that
a challenge. Yeah, that's a challenge.
I mean, I would. I don't know what I'd have to do to.
You would what?
I don't know. It would be quite a bit, but I mean, yeah, it came out like in '97. It's like a total old school Avalon Hill 1 billion rules, 3 counter sheets, just immense game, and it's just one of those like, oh, if only I could find that, just like one of those things. But yeah. If you ever go check it out, I mean, it's like that, and if I could find a really, really, like a reasonably priced, like unpunched copy of Divine Right, and not the 25th anniversary edition, which totally screwed up the rules and made it unplayable, but the original Divine Right. They came out, oh gosh, what was that, 87, 88, if I remember correctly. I had a copy years ago, but of course, being the young guy I was, I would always, when I got done playing, I'd pour everything into the box, and the rules got all jumbled up and destroyed, and it long since been thrown away, and I've always been sad that I did that. So, there you go. I came close getting it on eBay a couple times, and I got sniped. So that makes me sad. But yeah, what about you, Bobby? You don't have any Grail games? I suppose since you're a company stooge, you can get whatever you want for nothing, right?
Kind of. I mean, my Grail game is crossbows and catapults, and I have my version as a kid, but it's destroyed. And if they made a collector's version of that, an overproduced version, like with to scale siege engines and castles, and just like go out and farm land and destroy stuff, that would be life-size crossbows and catapults. My Grail game.
Here's a question I was going to ask everybody that I thought about. I was sitting at work and waiting for a meeting to start, and I was like thinking of things to talk about. Would you ever have you seen those places? Those and I think we talked about this briefly. Have you seen those places that are like the gaming getaway, which is like, and I think there's one in Ohio. It's like there's
Ravenswood
like a castle.
Yeah.
There you go. I met 2 people that they're like their public relations guy there a year ago or at Gen Con, maybe 2 years ago at Gen Con, and they and they were like, oh, we gotta like come up with a way to have you there, and we can give you a cut rate, and we can get a bunch of people there and have like a gaming marathon, and of course we exchanged emails for like about 2 weeks and nothing ever came of it. But I've always thought that would be fun to do if we could like get like a bunch of people. I mean, of course I would not want to organize it or anything because I'm too busy and I'm far too important to deal with minutia. But I mean, but so one of you out there, you should really get to work on that.
What have you peed
Well, see,
on?
there's an event there at the end of February.
But I wouldn't want to do somebody else's event. I would want to like make it something of that us, or like, and then like we could like have it like be a whole bunch of like reviewers and podcasters and hangers on like Keith, and
Hey, I'm not gonna say,
And then we could like open up to the public, and like that's just something I've always thought about doing.
I've actually been looking at putting something like this together for just an inclusive group of people. I will say that Ray Weir is
None of you are invited.
Not you all.
Everybody's as a company excluded.
like Ray at Calliope does something like this. He has a cabin literally on the side of Mount Baker, so it's in the middle of the wilderness on a mountain, and he has
Great.
people
Go out to a cabin in the woods.
Yeah,
Away
but
from civilization.
I had talked to a couple other industry people about doing something like this, and just never found the spark to get it done. But now that you mentioned it, I kind of want to get it done. And I mean, people have to be willing to travel and everything. But if you're talking about a couple days of just hanging out and playing games, and
Well, maybe we can make a Bobby Stickles gathering of friends. You know. Yeah, and make you could have your own little exclusive little. I know somebody who got invited to the gathering of friends, and he told me about it. Whose dog? Is that Dave? Your dog, David?
Yeah, of course.
Let him out. Hey, David, I forgot to ask you, what's your Grail game, man? What's your Grail game?
You know what? I'm along the lines like Matt and those guys. I haven't been in the hobby for a really, really long time, so I guess I don't have one per se. I guess maybe the only thing that I would hold on to is some of the stuff that I played as a kid. More sentimental value, but it's still around. Scotland Yard was always like one that that was like my thing that I thought it was really cool. Back in the day, Milton Bradley had the European award-winning game, so but that's really not worth much now. It's just more sentimental to me than anything.
I'm actually gonna make myself sound foolish here, but does anybody else remember the game? What was it? Was it called Stop Thief?
Stop Thief.
Yep.
Where you had basically an app in your hand that like you hit the button and it'd be like the clue of like either footsteps or running or like a broken window or somebody committing a crime. And then it would tell you, like, and you'd have an idea of where they were, and then you have to punch in the coordinates on the map where they were and stuff like that.
Yes.
I love that game. That game was fun.
Really?
Yeah. Dark Tower's the one from when I was a kid that I wish I had back.
Just
It's not a
like
great game, but it was so cool.
I've told the story a few times. It's like I was at Con of the North 5 years ago in Minneapolis, and I was there, and there's this one vendor that has like he always has out of print stuff, and I always go look at his stuff, and he had a copy of Dark Tower, and I said, and he wanted, and he had it like $325 he wanted for it, and I was just like, I'm not buying it for $325. And then this is like 5 years ago, mind you, and I was just like, I'm not buying it. And then I came back, and like late Saturday night he was packing up, and I saw he had marked it down to $300, and I said, does it work? And he said, yeah, it works. And I was like, well, can I see it? And he's like, yeah, sure. And he opens it up, and like we put batteries in it. He had taken the batteries out, and it worked. And I was like, I was sitting there, I was hedging, and I was like, well, do you want it? And I was like, you know what? Let me think about it. I'll see you in the morning. He's like, okay. So I came back the next morning on Sunday. I still had it, and I was thinking about it, and he marked it down to $250, and I was just like, I'm not gonna buy it. It's stupid. I'm not gonna spend $250 for a game just to have it, kind of thing. And I'm sure he sold it to somebody else at that point. And to this day, I'm like, why didn't I just spend the $250? You know how many times I would have loved to have played Dark Tower with my daughter at this point? And now anytime you see any copies that are still in working order and are complete, you can't get them for less than $500. I mean, it's just like it's ridiculous. So that's whenever anybody brings up Dark Tower, I think back to that moment and I get angry. So there you go. Yeah, great story. Does anybody remember the game Omega Virus? With the robotic voice that would tell you that like you have found the virus and everything like that? Nobody? Gosh.
I think Keith is playing Dark Tower.
He's playing Dark. Oh, what a. Well, sorry, you gotta go, Keith. Well, that's fine. No, look up the Omega Virus sometime. You can find that one. That was a fun little game where you had to move around the board. It was kind of Dark Tower-ish actually, because you had to collect these different keys and things that would allow you to get into the middle to defeat the computer virus that was corrupting the little world you were in, or whatever. That was another one of those old games that combined the electronics and the So maybe we've just been down this path to getting to using apps all the time when we play board games, and it's just a matter of time.
Does anyone remember the Milton Bradley game Mystery Mansion?
Oh my, yes.
Vaguely.
That was
Look at this. Mint condition.
Holy crap!
There it is, the Omega virus.
Everything.
I thought I was talking to myself over here. Somebody else knows about that game. Take it out. Make the thing talk.
Make it talk. I don't know if I got batteries in. I wouldn't dare leave batteries in this thing.
Oh well, yeah, that would make sense. But yeah, that's a fun game.
He actually has it.
Look at that. I got all the pieces, man. I kept this stuff organized.
Yeah, no, that game's awesome.
It was actually. We never played it right as kids, but I took this out like about a year ago, and I read through the rules when I found this in my parents' garage, and we never played it once right. We always just didn't understand anything about it, but it actually seems like a decent game. I've actually looked through it.
It is. It's probably not like up to today's standards as far as mechanism-wise and everything.
Yeah.
It's still really fun. Does anybody, now that we're traveling down this trip on the memory lane here, I remember, like when you were a kid and you were playing board games. I mean, like I remember when I got like Dungeon and stuff like that, and that was pretty cool. But I remember this game called Bonkers that I used to play all the time, where you'd roll a die and you'd move your pawn to a spot, and then you had these little tiny cards in your hand. And there were spots on the board where you'd put the card down, and the card would say move forward 5 or move back 2 or whatever. And then you try to land on these spots that would allow you to score points. But then you leave the card there. And so as the game progressed, you would set up these weird chains, and you'd use other people's cards as well. So you'd try to move forward 3, which would take you to this thing that say move back 5, which would take you to this thing that says move forward 7, and all these things like that, and eventually land on a score. And you get to the point where one roll of the die would make your pawn move 27 times before it would finally stop moving, and you'd score points that way. Of course, I'm talking to myself at this point. Nobody else remembers these.
Yep.
Oh.
Fine. I really like the game. And, of course, everybody remembers playing Careers. Yes? Nobody remembers playing Careers? Careers was the first game ever that allowed you to pick your own
Roll.
No, like your own goal, your own, because Careers, the whole idea was that you were actually doing you were getting a job and you're doing things, and the jobs that you would get you prestige or money or whatever, and at the game you would secretly pick what you were going to go for, whether it was money or whatever, and then when you achieve your goal, you won the game. It was the first game I ever played where it was you actually determined before the game even started what you were going to go for during that particular thing. I remember, a fairly recent game had the same thing. Byzantium, where you picked you had to pick the towns that you were trying to score points in, and you were trying to keep those secret for everybody. So
that sounds.
See, nobody plays.
Careers sounds awful. It sounds like sitting with your career counselor, being well, what role do you want to pick, and how much money do you want to make, and then it never turns out that way.
Careers came out in 1955.
Of course it did.
It was a good game. It was a lot of fun.
I wouldn't have been allowed to play, so.
That's right. In 1955, they would be sorry, girls can't play this game.
Oh, you want to be pregnant and barefoot in the kitchen? Perfect.
Exactly. Yep. At least you didn't burn the beer, honey.
Right, well, that's why I keep plenty of it, because you sure like to drink it.
Wow.
Ready to jump right in the
We
door.
had boiled ham again last night, and that's all we had.
What a terrible time.
Let's not be so hasty. No. Well, does anybody have anything coming up soon, or anything they're going on, anything fun they're planning on doing? I mean, I got a convention next week, which I'm really looking forward to. It's the oldest convention. It's the one convention I've gone to more than any other convention ever. It's the Con of the North in Minneapolis, and that's awesome. So
Sounds fun.
So yeah, I mean, it's 3 days of gaming, and that's all it is. It isn't like a thing where you are running around and doing anything crazy or whatever. But you're just sitting in a board game room and playing games all weekend, which is pretty cool.
How many
Anybody
people?
else? They actually are like worried they're going to run out of room because I think this is just a situation where the hobby's kind of gotten big enough that it's kind of taking strides. And it used to be a really big role-playing game and like LARPing thing, and now the role-playing games and LARPing have kind of faded away, and they're moving. And now it's more board games, and I run the board game room there, so I'm actually kind of worried. I told the guys like all year, I was like, I'm gonna need a bigger room to run the games in, and they were like, oh yeah, you should be fine, or we'll get your room, and then it came down, and they're like, well, we just don't, I'm not gonna have your room. So I've got close to 1,000 people registered, and they have foot traffic of another like, at least another 400 or 500, and I've got a room that has, I think, 14 tables. And it's just like I'm not gonna have room. I'm just it's just like, and I'm gonna get there and I'm gonna say, there's sadly there's like this there's it's a big community room, and there's a community room right across the hallway, and but it has like these 2 long-standing D&D campaigns that are running there, and it's the same like 10 people at each table that have been playing in the same D&D campaign at this con for like the last 20 years. This is the only time they play. They get here and they sit down and they play D&D for 3 days straight. And the thing is last year we had some bleed over into that room, and and there's these super serious guys playing this like, I've waited all year to play my D&D campaign, and like got my character in this like old yellowed character sheet, they're all just excited to play. And then like right next to them there's somebody playing that what's that flicking the flicking game with the cars where you flick your cars around. I can't think of the name of the track.
Pitch car.
Yeah, pitch. There's like this group of 6 people playing pitch car, screaming obscenities at each other.
They do a huge pitch car layout at BGG-Con every year.
I'm not a huge fan of that game. I don't know. It's a fun little toy. I'll say that. So there.
Yep.
Other than that, I don't know.
I just found out recently I was probably going to go to PAX East if anybody's going to that. Usually we go down, we get a hotel, and we stay there, and I basically walk through the whole main exhibit hall for the first like couple hours and get a bunch of free T-shirts. Actually, this is a free T-shirt I got there last year. I don't even really play video games, but I just got a bunch of free shirts, and then I spend the rest of the time in the tabletop section. That's pretty much what I do there. It's not a super great board game scene at PAX, but it's better than no board game scene at all, and that's good.
Have you been to TotalCon, Matt?
No, is that in Connecticut?
It's in Mansfield, Massachusetts.
Mansfield? That's like an hour away.
Yeah, it's like the 19th or something. I don't know. Someone just recently today told me, hey, I have an extra ticket. You should go.
Wow.
Okie dokie.
Is TotalCon where Privateer Press does their big release every year? Or is that TempleCon? TempleCon, okay.
Which is in Rhode Island?
Yeah, it's somewhere in the Northeast. I couldn't remember where.
Well, clearly I need to go to more conventions. I mean, I've really only ever been to PAX and Gen Con because that's kind of what came up on my radar. And I knew there were others, but I've never been able to get there. Busy schedule and all that. Well, not so much busy, just kid schedule, and I feel really bad leaving my wife for 4 to 5 days with a young baby. So.
That's what
You'll get over that. You'll get over that feeling bad. Trust me.
Yeah,
It's true.
as it is, I'm gonna have it'll be about a 3-month-old as of Gen Con, and I'm going.
Oh my God.
This year. I have a 3-month-old, and I'll have a 2-year-old at that time. So I'm feeling pretty guilty already. It hasn't
3
happened.
months is still easy though. That's an easy. That's
Yeah.
fine.
And you can't feed him anyway, so I mean.
Right.
I can't really.
No.
So I mean, it's
Good point.
You would just get in the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, at least it's my wife's mother is a teacher, so she'll be off for summer vacation at that point, so she can actually come stay with us, keep my wife company. But even last year, let's see, she would have been just about a year old last year, and she's still a handful. You know, she's not a great sleeper, and she's really active. So I felt bad. Like I was at Gen Con, I kept going to bed at night going, man, I'm gonna actually sleep a full night tonight, and my wife's at home like waking up every 2 hours, and so I don't go to a lot of them for that reason, just because my wife's awesome and I really want to try to help her out. But PAX I can do because it's an hour away. I can drive and down and back during one day. No big deal.
I hope you find something to do there, Matt.
Yeah, I wish you were going. It's a bummer. You know, I kind of couldn't pass it up. You know, my friend had an extra 3-day pass, and I'm basically gonna drive them down. He's gonna give me the ticket basically. Like, it's gonna basically cost me gas money and parking to go. So I figured it was. I mean, I'm sure I'll get some gaming in. You know, more gaming than I'll get around here. I don't get a lot of gaming during the week, and a lot of my friends are busy.
There was someone who lived like 40 minutes away who liked to play board games, Matt. I wonder if you could find such a person.
Why have I seen you more at conventions that come up annually than I have during regular day life, and you live 45 minutes away? I don't understand that.
Yeah, that's true.
It makes no sense at all. Aside from that, I got nothing else going on.
Well, you, Marty, you're doing something this weekend, right?
Actually, no. I'm just kind of chilling out. I had a big birthday this past weekend, so I had a bunch of guys over to play games. So
That's right. You turned 72. Way to go, buddy.
Yeah.
72 years old and still playing games.
You don't look a day over 65. That's impressive.
I know.
Oh, thank you.
It's just,
So this weekend is filling out.
Mileage.
This weekend's filling out tax stuff for the accountant, so that's the fun stuff.
make sure you get all your Social Security checks in order. And I hope you itemize all those $11 checks you sent to your grandchildren. So,
Wow.
I'm glad I come here each week for the abuse. So
Brutal.
Listen, you're nowhere near the amount of abuse Anthony got last week, so that's okay.
I
where
miss
is
Anthony.
That's true.
He's with Barry Reynolds right now.
Well, I understand that, but I mean, we should have just had Barry Reynolds and him over, you know, and they could have well, I'm sure they're talking about something. probably talking crap about us.
Probably so.
Did you guys all end up getting a tabletop simulator so we could play Steam-based board games?
Who was I supposed to... Marty, I was supposed to go in on that with you, wasn't I?
Yeah, I don't know if we found 4 yet, though, have we?
I said I would, but you haven't. Nobody's contacting you for any money.
Oh, okay. So it was you, I, Rhiannon. I guess we need one other person.
Let's be honest. I mean, I'll pay my $20 or whatever, and I'll never use it because it's just like everything else that I bought on Steam. So I mean, but
That is.
Now, I don't even know why I want to do it. Maybe just because of the idea that theoretically we could play some games, but I mean, it's just I don't know. I don't like. I've tried playing. What is that? I've tried playing games with the computer interface, and it's just I'd rather just. I mean, if I'm gonna spend time playing a computer game, playing a game on my computer, I'm gonna boot up Team Fortress 2 or something, and shoot fools in the face. I'm gonna play a board game. I want a board in front of me, and I want like that. That's what I want, I guess.
So you don't own Talisman for PC with the $30 seasons pass for all the content?
No. If I'm gonna play Talisman, I will set up my Talisman board and all 27 of my expansions, or whatever they're at now, and I will play with my buddies, and we will scream and yell at each other, and then when I get knocked out around hour 3, I will win the game because I don't have to play anymore.
There you go.
And thus I'm done playing Talisman for another year.
If I'm going to play Talisman, I'm going to go to bed.
Oh, you're going to bed?
No, if I'm going to play Talisman, I might as well go to bed.
Yeah.
I remember.
Man, it can end up being really fun if you get the right combo, but it's just so much luck involved. You can end up getting completely hosed and having zero fun.
Oh, I know. I agree with you. I remember. What did Keith replace his picture with? What is that I'm looking at there? I can't tell. What game is that? Can you guys tell?
That's the tabletop simulator with a Dead of Winter mod.
Oh, nice. You got a little background on there. That's cool.
Yeah.
I'm bored already. No.
He flips the table. Sweet.
Nice.
Got real angry.
What was I going to say? Oh, about Talisman. I remember years ago. before I even got into this big thing, and back when I was just a role-playing gamer, we were like getting ready to like play D&D at my buddy Scott's house, and like we ended up not having everybody there. It was one of those things where nobody was showing up, and so we were sitting there. It's like, well, this is kind of a waste. And none of us, we're all like, most of us, I guess, were single and no kids, and we were at Scott's house because he wasn't single with no kids, and then we said, well, we can play Talisman, and Talisman was our fallback. We're just, okay, we'll play that, and we won't play D&D today because we can have everybody. And I remember whatever character I had, I got killed on like round 3 or 4. And I remember distinctly walking up the stairs of his basement. I was just going to go home. And I said, I may have lost, but come this time next week, you'll all agree that I won. And then I left. And then, and sure enough, they said that the Talisman game lasted like 6.5 hours. And just the one guy that's like got the dwarf that has nothing, and like has no good items or anything like that is literally begging one of the other players that has 7,000 items, just go to the middle, just end the game. They just refusing to. They're still like just plodding around, still leveling up their character. Relic, however, is a really good game. They actually made a really good version of Talisman with their Warhammer 40K.
Yeah, that looks good. I need to look at that.
Is there a difference in the rules between the two?
Absolutely. Offhand, I can't really pinpoint the one thing, but the big thing is that, have you played Talisman, Marty?
I've not a full game, no, but I know how it's played.
Bobby left.
We were talking about Talisman too long.
That'll do it. Well, the big thing with Relic is that the actual your character that you play has a specialty as far as their ability to go, and it's like one of 3 colors, and then the actual spots on the board will tell you what type of when you land on it, what deck of cards to draw, and then the cards in that deck you hopefully will be kind of color coordinated to your strengths, your character strengths, and so there's a lot less of the I go into the forest and a demon craft 10 eats me. Great, thanks. So what did you do? I walked into the plains and I got the rune sword. Yay! And you're just like, great game. So that's the big thing, and there's just all kinds of fun little things you can. They don't have all those little stacks of the little cones to mark your strength and power. You have dials on your character sheets instead, which is like a big. So it's just a better game. They should really just take Talisman and ditch it and make Talisman 5th edition and use the Relic base.
There's so much content for Talisman at this point. Couldn't they even rewrite an official variant or some sort of rules to? We thought about 1 million house rules to make Talisman more fun, like add a plus or minus 1 to your dice rolls, or anything like that, just to make some sort of a choice in eliminating the roll and move part. Because I'm a fantasy junkie, and just all the fantasy stuff with Talisman always sucks me in. But then you get into it and you get stuck moving back and forth 5 spaces, but not being able to hit that one damn space in the middle for an hour. If they could just find something in the middle between roll and move and all the other awesome fantasy stuff that are there, it could be such a cool game. There's so much content. It's just around kind of a crappy engine. An outdated engine. It's an old engine. It's the roll and move.
One of the other things. Sorry to interrupt you. One of the other things, Relic, you touched on it, is that you do have the ability to have a more deterministic movement. And offhand, I can't think of it right. I haven't played it in about 3-4 months, but I know you have cards that you can play instead of rolling a die, and you can just say, I'm moving 4. And so you don't actually have to, so if you get within 4 spaces of whatever it is that you want to land on, you can do that. And plus, they also have maximums to your abilities. So it's you have a maximum of 8 strength or whatever the thing is, and you just move that dial and then it maxed out. Whereas in Talisman, it's theoretically you could have a 27 strength or something, as long as you keep getting stuff. And my experience with Relic is that it's more about leveling up your character than it is about collecting cool stuff. Whereas in Talisman, it's all about getting cool stuff. It's about getting the magic ring. It's about getting the magic sword. It's about getting the genie lamp and all that stuff. So that's my experience.
And there was an expansion for Relic just announced, wasn't there?
Well, they have the old one that actually added PvP to it, and so and then now there's another one that's coming out. So
yeah,
I'm gonna check that out.
Halls of Terra.
What was that?
Oh, it's called Halls of Terra.
Halls of
That's
Terra.
the new expansion for. That's for their expansion for Relic.
So is it like Terra, like as in Earth, or like Terror, but the guys from the South?
No, Terra like
Boston.
Earth.
Nobody got my joke. Great.
I got it.
Thank you. Who's got the rumbling in the background? Who's got the dishwasher going right behind them?
That's the underwater thing I was saying.
Yeah,
I
not
don't
me.
know what it is.
Other than that, I don't know. I mean, anybody got any like I
here
said?
you go.
Anybody got any?
What do y'all think about the news with the second edition Stronghold coming out from Stronghold?
I have the first one. Don't care.
I'm excited. I heard it's a shorter playtime. And
That's why I'm in.
awesome.
That's
I mean,
it. It's streamlined rules and shorter playtime. I'm in.
100%. Totally.
I really enjoyed the old Stronghold. What I really hope that they do, and this is kind of is that I really hope they include the Stronghold Undead expansion with it, because that was the expansion that added the whole Necromancer faction or whatever to Stronghold, and it there's approximately 7 copies printed or something, because nobody could get a hold of any. It came out I think at Essen 5 years ago, and then vanished as soon as it showed up. So that's my one hope. So there you go. But yeah, I think they'll do well. I mean, Stephen Bonacore mostly picks good things to print or to go in on with. I mean, he's going to do the La Granja reprint, which is pretty awesome. And he won't tell me whether or not they're going to do Arkwright, even though he says he's been playing a copy and looking at it and seeing if that's something he'll do. So if you just tell me one way or the other, then I know whether or not I should spend $100 or wait. That's kind of annoying.
So you should wait.
No, but whenever I pick, it's wrong. It's kind of like whenever I do fantasy football and I'm trying to pick between 2 guys, I don't know which to pick. It's like my buddy Shadow says, doesn't matter what you pick, it's going to be wrong. So just pick one. And so I mean, it's so if I buy it, that guarantees that there will be an American version that reprints with better art and everything else that I'll have to buy anyway. And if I don't buy it, it means it won't be reprinted, and I'll never get a copy. I never pick right. So there you go. Everybody's needs to drink some coffee or something or wake it up.
The strange news I saw was that Hansum Gluck is doing Star Wars Carcassonne, which looks like the most bizarre retheming of a game I've ever seen.
Carcassonne's going to monopoly itself, and everyone's going to be tired of playing that mess.
Oh,
Yeah,
who is it? I mean, I'm tired of playing it.
It's
Right.
weird.
Yeah.
But I mean, it must sell, right? I mean, it's kind of like it's one of those things like Munchkin. It's like you think that they've got to run out of people that haven't played it, right? But people just keep obviously keeping Steve Jackson games alive, buying Munchkin, buying copies and copies of that.
Well,
So-
I like Carcassonne okay, and I like Star Wars, but this game just looks dumb.
It does, Keith. I've seen pictures of it. I'm like, who cares about building paths across the galaxy?
And making big nebula and asteroid fields. Who gives a crap? And I don't
Right.
think it'll
Star
hit the
Wars,
US
guys,
anyway.
it's Star Wars.
I love Star Wars, but that looks dumb.
Right, so you'll love this and you'll want it because it's Star Wars.
No, I won't.
Yes, it's true.
All they got to do is put the original, the prequel pictures, the artwork on there. It'll be enough to turn everybody off because that's not real Star Wars.
Just a Jar Jar on the cover. Done. Nobody wants
Right.
it.
Who are you talking about? I don't recognize that word.
Well, the thing is though, I mean, that's got to cost them a lot of money for the license, right? I mean,
Oh yeah, they've got to be paying for it.
Yep.
You know, and so it's just like, you know, they got to be putting money. Well, no, not George Lucas's pockets anymore, in Disney's pockets. So, you know, I don't know, but whatever. You know, it's like crazy German companies selling games only in German markets. You know, it's just. I remember the last Carcassonne game I ever played was the Kids of Carcassonne, which you know, obviously was not like the one that they just. I forget what they called it. The reprint they called it that they when Z-Man redid it. I forget what it was called.
Isn't it like my first Carcassonne? Isn't that what it is?
Or something like yeah, Fisher Price Carcassonne or something. I don't know, but there's a picture on BGG of my daughter and I having breakfast cereal and playing the Kids of Carcassonne together when she was, I think, 3. So I appreciate that about the game. And that's probably the last time I played a Carcassonne game. So.
Yeah, just did Kids of Carcassonne with my 3.5-year-old today. So yeah, we got that yesterday.
Carcassonne. That's what the game is. I mean, I'm sorry. There's probably people out there that love the game and they think it's a lot of fun, but. Oh man, I mean, have you ever seen that one layout that they did? That one, I went to some convention. It was like something like 10,000 Carcassonne tiles.
Wow.
And like, you know, they just it covered like a third of a football field or something. It was just ridiculous. You can find the pictures of it. And they actually legally put all the spots. You know, it wasn't like they were just throwing them down there and just whatever. They made this giant Carcassonne map, which is, I guess, kind of neat, but.
Didn't someone also make like a giant size Carcassonne game? I saw that somewhere. They got like the big tables and.
I've seen people that have made Carcassonne cupcakes, and then like you play like you play with cupcakes. And I thought that was interesting and neat, I guess. And then like you eat the cupcakes.
That's a lot of cupcakes.
Well, yeah, that's just it. I mean, it's just like I don't even like cake that much, so I mean,
Right.
It's like I wouldn't really enjoy that. But you know, my daughter and my wife though, they can't get enough of that silly Cupcake Wars show. Like the 3 or 4 competing teams of making cupcakes and all these, and like they're like, you know, making like bacon and waffle cupcakes and stuff. And I'm just like, why do you guys watch this?
I mean, I support food, but the way they dramatize it is obnoxious. Cupcakes are awesome, but watching how
so we're done. So is Rick
Tonight.
Yeah, you know, the other thing I don't like about Anthony is that hey buddy.
Hey, can I get 2 large fries, a medium Coke?
Things way up here. We're not going to be able to hear it.
This is a family show, dude.
Yeah. How was your glorious interview with our good friend Barry?
It was good.
Yeah.
cool, man.
Yes. Yeah, a
You
lot of
should.
fun.
Hey, so you got him on the line. Give him the link to this so he can get in. Let's get him in here.
Hang on.
Yeah.
Hey, Anthony, real quick, are you coming to PAX East? You're in New England, right?
No, I'm not.
He's in New York, but I guess not going to
You're
PAX
not in
East.
New England,
That's
or
pretty
you
much.
aren't going to PAX East. Which was the no, you're not answer.
I'm not in New England, and I'm not going to PAX East. It's
Oh,
no
so-
for both.
He's in the Northeast, technically.
Northeast, okay, whatever.
I got that lecture when I moved up here. I was like, isn't this all New England? He's like, no. There are very specific states that are New England. I was like,
Is that a sports team thing? Because I don't really follow any of that stuff.
It's all the same thing to me. It's a bunch of Yankees.
It's just a bunch of people who it's just like want to think that their part of the world is so much better than everyone else's. So,
Yeah, in our case, that's right, but
yeah, it's true up
you
here.
know exactly what you mean. I'm just kidding. I don't. If I had a sports team that I rooted for, I would say something about them, but I don't really know how any of them are doing this year. I think the Patriots did well, right? Won something, a big game.
I almost
They got a
scrolled
couple
the
of.
internet today and wore Patriot stuff for my video, and then almost went into a Myriad and said, no, I think I'll take a page from the Seahawks book and pass, and then not go in the store. But that would
Hey.
involved going all the way to Manchester
Nice.
just to not go into Myriad. So I was like, forget it.
Oh man,
Man, that joke was worth a golf clap. Nice job. Way to put
I
that
just
in
golfed
there.
that too. That was very good. I actually did watch the Super Bowl. It's like the one game I watched. Yeah.
There was a sports ball contest.
There was, yeah. There was kicking and throwing.
It's
And
one
lot
too
of
many
extra-
throws.
More
One too
throwing
many
than necessary, actually, in this case.
It's like you know what? If you ever watch a CFL game, I think everybody should watch a CFL game once because it's just crazy. For like Canadian football, it's like you get 3 downs instead of 4. The end zones are 20 yards deep instead of 10. The actual
I think they say meters, but okay.
well, whatever. You know what I mean? It's double the size, and then the actual like field is wider too, and so it's all over the place, and it's crazy, and one my favorite thing, my favorite rule in it is that if you kick a field goal, and you miss, but you kick it out of the end zone, it's called a rouge, and you get 1 point.
Ooh.
Very entertaining.
That's pretty erosion.
Well, yeah.
Is when you
Yeah, I mean, it's
have
just like,
a football thing and you have people from different countries. You have the Canadian football team, and then not to be mean, they're like big burly dudes, and then you have the Japanese football team, which is much smaller in size, and then they play against each other. That is entertaining to watch.
no, so you like seeing people in different cultures get hurt. Well, that's nice for you.
I see it.
Barry,
I like,
What's
the,
that
I like
position?
the CFL rule where the running backs can like start from like 10 yards back and start running towards the line of scrimmage before the ball is snapped.
yeah, that's the coolest thing. And yeah, that's totally right. Because CFL, so it's like you basically the guy has a total running start, and he's like at full speed right when they hike the ball, and it's just Well, there's a reason why Warren Moon threw for like 8 billion yards in the CFL. So I mean, it was just a crazy it's a crazy league. And it's and then plus, isn't there like 2 different CFL teams with the nickname the Rough Riders? It's like this, so it's just like it's the Rough Riders versus the Rough Riders today. So crazy football. But we got Barry on. What's up, buddy?
Hey guys, how's it going?
We heard you had to put up with Anthony for an hour. Sorry about that.
Yeah, that's too bad.
It was a pleasure, just like it was with you guys over there at Rolling Dice.
I wanted to do like 4 hours, but Barry said no.
Oh, nice. Hey, I have to since Barry's on, I have to thank Barry for sending me my rail game of Heroes of Graxia, which, if you guys remember the game Heroes of Graxia, there was like both the like card game, which was like some really horrible deck builder, and there was also like a miniatures game that was called Guardians of Graxia, I think.
Yep.
And they were 2 of the absolute worst games of all time. And the deck builder is just hideous. And I remember I made an offhand comment, and so Barry decided to send me his copy, which has a net worth of like -$3. So thank you, Barry. I appreciate that. It's holding my door open in my game room right now. I appreciate that.
No problem. It actually wasn't my copy. I go to Beer Mongers every other Tuesday, and a guy Wade, you might have heard him on the Dice Tower podcast, the Discriminator, I forget what he is. He complains
Discriminating
about
gamer or something? Or, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
something like that. He actually brought it to get rid of it. Nobody wanted it, and for some reason I thought of you and that rant you had, and just decided to send it to you.
If you ever get a chance to see that game, and I'm drawing blanks, so nobody knows what I'm talking about.
I own it.
Who does?
I own it.
It's horrible, right, Anthony?
It's ridiculous. It's got the worst rule book. It's a piece of paper that's folded like 37,000 times, and then the writing is about this big.
Yeah, like 8-point print, and
it's a card game that came with 6 minis, though.
it came with 6 minis that served no purpose other than to put a mini in front of you, and it did nothing. And plus, they decided it was a good idea to like set up like you'd attack other players, which okay, fine, it's kind of neat. You set up like your little warriors or whatever to attack somebody, but like instead of like it's like, oh, this guy's got 1 attack and this guy's got 2 attack, it's like, These 3 have 7, 12, and 19 attack. These 7 over here have like 11, 15, and these guys have 16. Okay, total all that together. Okay, I have a defense rating of 13, 27, 16, and 2. Add that all together. Okay, what's the difference? It's like you need a calculator to be playing this. It was hideous, absolutely hideous. And the thing that made me laugh was like in the back of that giant that giant unfolded rulebook, there was like wasn't there like page after page of playtesters for the game? And I was like, there's no way these people ever played this game once and said it was any good. So there you go.
They have big families.
Strangely enough, the company I don't believe is around anymore. It has since vanished. But there you go. So, hey, I asked everybody else what their Grail game was. So, Anthony, what's your Grail game? Oh no, I haven't asked you that before. Haven't I? Oh, maybe I didn't.
Grail game?
Yeah, a game that you can't find that you want to own.
I don't have one.
Great, thank you. That was great. Barry, moving on to you. Is there a game out there that's out of print that you wish you owned or like you wish you picked up when you had the chance?
Family Show. Oh.
Actually, Fear of Dracula, I think. It's one I kind of missed. We like that hidden movement game type things. I had an opportunity to play it once, but I just didn't get to the table with it that time. But yeah, Fear of Dracula.
I can't help but think that'll get reprinted. I mean, it's one of those things where it's just eventually FFG's got the money, that they can do it, right? I mean, it's just like because it's been out of print since 2009. Am I right there? I'm guessing.
Yeah, something like that.
This is when somebody would agree. I have a copy, and honestly, the game is okay.
A Fury of Dracula?
Yeah.
I have that. It's up there.
Yeah, I mean it's actually it's not a bad game, but it's really bogged down with the combat.
Yes.
Like when you actually find Dracula, like the game is great searching for him, but when you actually do finally track him down, or when you run into one of his minions and have to do battle, man, does that game it's like tension. Okay, slow down to a crawl and not care at all at this point.
I killed him.
And what?
I said I killed him. My battle was not long.
You know what?
Who invited me?
Yeah, who invited you? Go put your shawl on.
It's been on if you've been paying attention.
No, I don't pay attention to you.
So true.
I think it needs a little revised rule set. I mean, you guys have played it more than I have probably, but my one game I played of it was 6.5 hours.
Of what?
Oh my God!
Fury of Dracula. It was the longest game ever.
I would. Yep.
Super analytical people at the table discussing everything, and I was really into it for like the first half. And then we found Dracula after all this analysis, and he goes, boom! He plays some card, and then the whole damn game resets, and he disappears and gets to teleport anywhere on the map. I was like, all right, I'm done. And then it was like, oh, another 3.5 hours. We got to chase him down again. I was like, wow, just taking that one card out of the deck would have made this way better. I don't know the game well enough. I don't know how common that card is. But he played some card to basically just vanish into the night, and we basically started the game from square one. And I was like, oh my God, are you kidding me?
Well, I know he does have a card that allows him to go right back to the Tower of Dracula. And,
maybe that was it? I don't know.
And so the thing is that like it kind of teleports him. If I remember correctly, it's been a while since I played, but it has the negative of the fact that like if you're all like in Europe, or if you're not Europe, if you're all over like in the United Kingdom and he uses it, he'll have a ton of time to move off of the Tower of Dracula and and to get away again. But I guess I can see that happening.
I mean, it was probably, like I said, it was probably the one time that I played it just kind of went bad. It was probably a bum game, so I haven't been trying to judge the game on that, but I was like, I'm not super excited to play this again based on my first impression.
No, I mean, that's fair. Hey, you guys remember, didn't they say, or maybe it did come out, I don't know, but didn't Fantasy Flight say they were going to come up with a revised Dungeon Quest? Like they were going to fix it up or something?
It's already out.
It's out.
It did come out? Okay, I remember they said they were going to revise it, and then I never heard anything about it.
They put out a free conversion kit for it too. So if you own the second edition, which is Fantasy Flight's first version, you can download all the rule changes for free.
So does it change up like the combat? Because that's what that made that game horrible. Was the combat?
I believe it does tweak the combat a little bit.
It does. Yep. It absolutely does.
And because that was a game just like walk into a room and see what happens. It's like my wife's favorite game. But when you actually get into the situation where you are like having to fight something, and it's like, okay, play rock paper scissors kind of with these cards, but it's not really rock paper scissors. It's like quartz parchment shears or something. I don't know. But
yeah, I switched to the alternate dice roll and just said, "Oh, there's a quick die roll."
Yeah,
it's so much easier.
I bet you use the same one. I think there was some rule set someone put on Board Game Geek of I think it was maybe similar to the original combat, but it was basically like get 4 different colored D12s, and then depending on what the stats are required for the roll 2 of them, and if they roll a certain amount, you won that. And you basically would roll them 2 or 3 times, combat was done, and then you move on. And it was
I used
basically the same results.
I used a simple one from Fantasy Flight, so.
Oh, they actually made a simple one themselves? I didn't even look at that.
Oh, yeah.
I remember my favorite session of that. I was playing it with my buddies. I sprang it on them, and I have a very analytical a buddy. His name's Jason, and he was like, "Oh, I really wanted to play this." And like his first one was like he found some scorpions, which did like 4 points of damage to him, and his next room was the bottomless pit, and he failed, and he fell in it, and he died, and I was like, "Okay, so you're dead," and then he said, "Oh, okay, well, so what do I get a new character?" "No, you're out. You're done playing."
You didn't even play with a variant to get 2 lives or whatever the hell it is?
No. Oh, hey, they're reprinting Drakon. Cool. That's not a bad game. Now people that have the copy that they thought was worth like $90 is now back to be worthing. It's worthing back to being worth like 15 again. So good for them. Anybody else? David, you're being quiet now. What's going on?
Yeah.
What's new?
I'm just listening. I'm listening to what you guys are talking about.
You don't have anything to chime in? Anybody got any new content coming out? David, you doing any reviews coming up soon?
Yeah, I'm working. I was sick for the past week and a half, so anything that I wanted to work on kind of got put on hold. But I'm going to be covering the insert for Eldritch Horror that Daedalus Productions did. Really, really nice wood and stuff like that. Really kind of makes the game look good on the table and really decreases the setup time. So I'm going to be doing that. Fields of Arla from Z-Man. We'll be doing that one. So those couple things.
Awesome. Anybody else got anything cool going on? Nothing? Anthony, you got nothing going on?
Nah, nothing.
Wow, you guys are exciting. Like I said, if you want to check out my 64-minute long XCOM video, it's now finally done being uploaded and what have you.
Oh, quick.
Anthony, have you played XCOM?
Who, me?
Yeah, you. No, the other Anthony.
I didn't hear the Anthony part.
Oh, okay. And then Barry, you by any chance?
It's in the mail. Should be here Thursday. I was kind of iffy on this one because my group has a issue with the stress level in games, like the escape game, the time game. They have an issue with that. So I'm going to see how this one works out with that.
Well, I mean, if you play it on easy, you don't have to worry about the time, but then you're kind of cheating yourself out of the full experience, in my opinion. But that's just me. So, I don't know.
That XCOM will be our next video. I'm going to try to record it on Friday, and I think it's going to work well for the format that we use, where we kind of take little snippets of the gameplay to kind of show how it plays out. And I think that one, take a little snippet with a time segment if somebody's stressing out. I think that could be pretty good. Look forward to trying it out. I haven't watched yours yet, Lance. That's slated for tomorrow, but I've watched a lot of other reviews and Rodney's stuff on it, so I can be 100% ready.
I've watched a lot of people's reviews of people that I like, so I'll get it around. No. One of the nicest thing. There's a couple of guys that watch my stuff, and they whenever I post a big long review, they always say something along the lines of, it's like, something to help me get through this next hour of work or whatever. So I always appreciate that about something. So.
I gotta hide my board game love at work. I mean, I don't mind getting crap from people, but it's, I got like 5 guys in my office. I mean, most of them work for me, but yeah, I don't even really need to hear it.
So you're telling me IT guys, geeks by definition, are giving you crap over board games?
Well, listen, I'll give you a quick history of me. When I went to high school, I played video games. I played games like Half-Life and Quake 2, and I got made fun of for it. And now, if you don't play those games when you're in high school, you get made fun of. It's an interesting mix. And so all my IT guys, all the guys that work for me, all my help desk guys, they all play video games like the Call of Duties and the Destinies and the shooters. And then they come over to me and look at my, I got Scott King's counter above my desk, and I keep track of the days, because it's an awesome counter. It's rad. And, they're constantly ripping on me, like, oh, board games, and they don't actually know about my series, and I hope to God they don't find out, because, man, I'll never hear the end of it. But, yeah, I mean, I get crap because I play board games, and they're all video gamers. It's really weird.
Can I just clean something up for me there? You're the boss?
Yeah.
So then they're daily lunchtime board games, and they just have to suck it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Are they gonna pants you or something? I mean, is that are they gonna shove you in your locker? And you I mean, what are you? How old are you, Matt? I mean,
dude, it's so easy. Remember that time you made fun of me for playing board games? Oh, you get no raise this year.
You make a good point. They do work for me, but it's just not worth it. Like, I've got plenty of other things to exude power over them on.
Minions are for abusing, not for taking abuse.
And I'm not gonna tell you how to live your life, Matt. But I mean, how old are you?
I'm 30.
Okay, you're 30 years old. You're married, right?
Oh yeah.
You got a couple of kids?
One on the way. One's about 7 months in the oven.
So okay, a mistress?
No, I got a wife.
Okay. Well, no, I mean, it's always just okay. Good. And you have a home, right?
Yeah.
You can buy nice things. You own a car.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I can.
Okay.
I can't buy a lot.
Okay. So would you classify yourself as being an adult? Is what you're trying to say? What I'm getting.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I'm proud of my hobby.
Okay. Well, it doesn't sound like you are. It sounds like you got a bunch
secretly
of
proud of his hobby.
And you're just like, oh gosh, I really hope that Johnny and Billy don't find out about my board games. They might make fun of me.
Hey,
they might put a tag in my chair.
I'll give you the full story if you want. I can give you a little bit more to that. I mean, I work for a guy. He's a medical research guy. I don't need to drop his name, but I work for a medical research company. He's kind of a big guy, and he does a lot. He has a volunteer company that does robotics and stuff. He's kind of a big dude. And
is this the same guy that said, if I ever catch any of my employees playing designer board games, they're out of here? Because I saw that guy's TED Talk, and it was pretty impressive.
No, that wasn't it. No, but he's a medical engineer type guy, and we do medical products and lots of interesting stuff. But there's been like Christmas party. Every year there's this big like holiday party, and there's like a thing. And I've been roasted a number of times for my hobby-ish type stuff, and that was well before like I was really like a board game, like niche hobby board game thing, and so I just try to get out of it because I don't want to talk about it with people because they're kind of like, oh, is it like Monopoly? So you like play Settlers, right? It's the best game. Ooh, Settlers. And like I'm like, yeah, it's kind of like that, but better. And I try to explain it, and every time I just end up looking like an idiot, so I don't bother anymore. I just kind of say like, yeah, I do this and whatever. So my work life is different than my home.
I watch a lot of sports and play a lot of
sports and home runs. I like to kick the field goals and stuff. That's what I do.
So Matt, they know about the giant Captain America in your room?
I'm proud of that. That was a present for my wife. That's technically like the Puerto Rican flag, so it's technically Captain Puerto Rico, but whatever. I still love the second Captain America movie. Great movie.
Your wife got you that? That's what she wants you to look like.
I don't blame her.
Well,
man.
he has that hoodie that like zips up to be Captain America, so that's like the same thing.
It's true. I have a Boba Fett one too. I just got everything. Like you said, I'm an adult. I can buy those things for myself.
No, but I can't.
And he'll wear them when he's secretly shaming himself with the board game.
I just can't let my coworkers know.
I feel like I've opened the door here.
I kind of feel for Matt because his coworkers give him crap at work, and now
we're going to give him crap.
Oh yeah.
Oh no. I like you guys. There's a difference. They work for me. There's some. You guys are my friends, so I don't care.
Let's not get carried away, Matt. Hold on a second.
Sorry.
Man, I'm not gonna tell you how to live your life. I'm not gonna tell you to live your life, but I mean, it's just like you will get to a point where, and you're 30, so you're not there yet, but you will seriously, and anybody who is my age is gonna agree with me. You will get to a point where, oh, my cat's coming, that you will decide that you just don't give a shit what people think of you anymore. It's just like
I understand.
and you'll just say. And so some guy says, "Oh, you play a lot of board games, so I would like Monopoly." You try. No, actually, I play designer board games that have been around for years, and they're actually the #1 hobby in Germany. Here, sit down. Let's talk about them for the next hour. And the person's like, I gotta go talk about sports ball. Talk to you later.
Well, most of the engineers, so they're gonna go solder something or fix something. They're kind of in the same nerdiness, but. Different.
Embrace your nerd, man.
Listen, I may have misspoke. I do embrace my nerd. I'm proud of what I do. It's just more, it's not worth it because I don't really want to explain how it's like I've explained 50 times how that picture on the calendar right there is not some kind of Monopoly or Catan. Like I just want I've explained it like 75 times. So it's kind of to the point now where I'm just like, yeah, don't bother. Hey, but I did
just say this is my YouTube channel. Go watch it.
Listen, as I said, every year at the holiday party, there's some sort of roast of some or another, and I've been hit a couple of times with that. I got cutest couple with a coworker of mine where they dressed me up like they put like a full on we have an industrial design department, so they're really good with Photoshop. Full blown like female wig on. Gave my coworker like this handlebar mustache, and then like made me his wife on the back of the bike with the leather jacket and the whole thing. So I try to stay away from anything like that. I just try to stay out of the spotlight. Just don't really need to end up on there again.
Where do you work? Just out of curiosity.
It's a medical research company, but it's got kind of a nice social environment. It's a great place to work. It is a nice job. It's just that.
And the name of this place would be...
I don't need to be humiliated tonight.
He's not telling us.
Medical Research Business, Concord, New Hampshire.
Yeah, just look it up while you're I'm sure you'll find him.
I'm not on LinkedIn. I don't do that. Anyway. Hey, but no.
Is on Facebook would be.
I have a nice segue to put out there for this. One thing.
You're gonna write a segue for us?
We'll talk about that later. Ironically, that's the company that I actually do work for. But anyway, they did make that at some point. But no, a fun thing about that is that I work for this company. They do like a fun game night. They do console game nights. They had a big like Xbox, Nintendo party, and I showed up one night because they provide beer and pizza and everything. I mean, why wouldn't I be there? And I remember at one point I got up and I turned on the PA and I said, hey, anybody want to come play analog games? Come over here right now. And about 5 people were like, oh, that sounds fun. And then eventually I was able to talk enough people in, and I played like 30-person, 2 rooms and a boom at my work. And it was awesome. Like, I mean, people who I didn't even know that had started working there, and complete strangers, and I played like, I think it was like 15 on 15, 2 rooms and a boom, and it was a massive hit, and now it's become a staple of the monthly gaming get-together.
See, you don't need to be ashamed of your hobby, Matt.
I don't need to be ashamed. I mean, I stood up there and explained the whole thing, and people looked at me cross-eyed, and then once they actually played it, they were like, wow, this is the most fun we've ever had. This is really fun. And so now they don't even play video games anymore. They play mostly 2 rooms and a boom and then, like, some Halo on the side.
See, Matt doesn't need to be ashamed. He's just ashamed anyway.
As I
get where
said
he's coming from.
I've opened a door here that I regret.
Well, the last 25 minutes really fleshed out the weekly Alaboom, so I really appreciate it.
There we go. You know what? As long as I can contribute, that's all that matters.
Rhiannon, I have the address.
I get where Matt's coming from. I used to work on the L. You know, when them guys found out I had the channel, I thought I was going to get beat with a wrench. You know, it's I get where he's coming from.
Respect, Barry. Thanks, man. I appreciate you backing me up. You understand?
Yeah.
All right. Well, it's getting late, so I appreciate everybody the conversation. I'm sure I appreciate the few people that are still watching. I appreciate those people taking the time to watch and listen to us blather on and on about nothing for the last nearly 2 hours.
Pretty accurate.
Okay, we'll go down the list and just everybody. Just pimp your ride and talk about what you do and your website and whatever. And if you got anything coming up, by all means, say it out loud and say it proud, except for Matt, who's secretly ashamed of what he does. So, Anthony,
That's a random name for myself. That's all I can hope for.
Anthony, what do you got going on?
We have another episode coming out next week of the Cardboard Jungle. I will be at Toy Fair, if anyone's going to Toy Fair in New York on Valentine's Day weekend. And then I'll be at Total Con.
Toy Fair, where they will not be announcing the reprint of Magic Realm.
No,
you dirty rumor monger.
I'm not a dirty rumor monger.
And if I wanted to listen to the Cardboard Jungle, where would I go?
You can go to iTunes or Stitcher or anywhere where you can download podcasts.
Okay, cool. Barry, thanks for joining in, man. I'll shoot you the link more often. We're going to do this like once a week. It'd be a hoot if you could come in and join us when you can. But yeah, no problem, man. Barry, what do you do? What do you got for us?
I run a Gateway Gamer runs through. It's a video series where I explain the rules of a game, and then me and my wife play the game out. That is at a Gateway Gamer at YouTube. If you want to contact me, a Gateway Gamer at Facebook or Twitter. Once a month or so, we do interviews, like I did tonight with Anthony there. And
Best episode ever.
We'll see.
Yeah, and it's basically the game videos, and then me and Jen do a discussion video every other week. So, something you're interested in checking out.
Barry, are we going to see you at Gen Con this year?
I don't think so. Maybe. I'm still up in the air. Like I said, I lost my job not that long ago, so fines are a little.
Oh, I'm sorry, man. That sucks.
That's all right.
Did it like? Is it like missing? Did you report it to the police, or is it just not there anymore when you go to the place where it used to be, or?
Man's down on his luck and he's making jokes.
I guess
the lawyer's fine with that. He found it.
Well, I gotta say this, Barry. I love the Afghan. I love the. Could you wrap that around you and do your
That's
best?
That's my thing. You can't steal my thing. Yeah. Come on now.
Just take the Afghan off the back of the chair there and wrap it around you like a shawl, like Rihanna.
I've actually never put it on. It's actually the last thing my mother made me.
Do it now.
Come on, Barry, do it. Everybody's doing it. Come on,
Barry.
Don't let him.
Peer pressure. Peer pressure.
Peer pressure. Yeah, I'm a sucker.
All right, here he goes. Do
I need a leopard print one like Rihanna there?
Hey, these are flowers. My leopard's over there. My leopard's only for boob.
He called you Rihanna too, so I just want to.
I'm sorry.
Rihanna. It's like Rihanna's looking at a mirror.
My umbrella,
now.
Ella.
It's like we have two Rihannans now. This is amazing. I can't tell the difference. All right. Well, thanks all for joining us here in like last minute, buddy.
No problem.
David, you got the to the table thing, right?
Yes. The best way to find me is if you go to YouTube. You can just put a search in for To the Table Reviews. That will. Just right about close to being able to have my own custom thing for YouTube. So need a couple more subscribers. I'll be able to get that, but. That's the best way to find me. And then on Twitter, my Twitter handle is the number 2, and then the table review. And so that's that. And then, with Barry, I wanted to chime in with him that him and his wife, they did a really good job with their 51st State playthrough. There was kind of some audio problems, but did a really, really good job of explaining that game because those were like some of the worst rules ever for a game. So good job.
Lots of iconography and everything. Yeah, so yeah, I did watch that. That is a really good job. So hey, you hear that, everybody? Go subscribe to David's To the Table reviews. They're good stuff. So go do that right now. All right, Keith.
Hey, I'm the hanger on. I'm the hanger on. So I'm just here.
All right, well,
be here. Follow me on Twitter at Major Malfunction. MAJ Malfunction.
Awesome. And Marty.
So we got a new episode of Rolling Dice Taking Names coming out next week where we're interviewing Happy Mitten as they're coming out with their first game on Kickstarter, Aether Magic. And I'll also be talking about my game experience with XCOM and what I thought of it.
Good deal. Matt, we're going to take you to therapy, right? So you can overcome your crippling fears.
Yes. I'm all for it. Whatever you guys have, whatever you recommend.
I'll say this, and I've said this a couple of times, and I say this out of like the kindness of my heart. When we had our Spooning Meeples thing last year, I was sitting next to Matt during the entire time, and you seem nervous. You seem nervous, but like underneath your breath, you were talking like crap about everybody and making fun of them underneath your breath to me. You're like, hey, what an idiot that guy is. And you're just underneath your breath the entire time we're laughing. And I was like, oh, this is kind of neat. He's just having a good time. And then the last thing you do is you make fun of me. It's like the last thing you do.
I had to. Well, in all fairness, I think Rado was actually directly next to me, and I was whispering to him, "Oh my God, dude, I have no idea what the hell I'm gonna say." For most, and then if I was trash talking anybody, it was friendly, first of all, and second, it was just purely out of nervousness, because boy, that was nerve-wracking, man. Anyway.
Oh well, you did a good job. And so if somebody wanted to watch your stuff, where would they go, Matt?
It's just the YouTube channel, youtube.com/boardgamereplay.
Awesome. And our resident shawl-wearing podcaster.
I actually
is it Ocus or Ox or what is it? Just Ox?
It's Ox.
Ox.
Yeah.
And she just recently got married, everybody. So congratulations.
Yeah, like 5 years ago tomorrow.
I saw it on Facebook 2 days ago.
2 days ago.
Well, that might be when my husband finally decided to admit it to himself that we're married, which is quite possible.
I heard it came as a big shock to his girlfriend, actually.
Yeah, she called me. We had a conversation, but she's better now. She was
straight and to the point. That's nice. Yeah. But if somebody wanted to listen to you talk about whatever it is that you do, how would they
today, actually, Lance, I wandered around 2 different game stores up here and talked about pimping out board games. So there you go. If you wanted to watch that, you could go to Spooning Meeples on YouTube. Not to be confused with Spooning Maples. That is the Canadian board game chat show.
Oh, really? I didn't. That actually sounds interesting.
It's make-believe. Keith made it up today. It's Rodney.
That's too bad. I do remember every once in a while, like, because like everybody like will Google you Google so, like your name or something like that, and then I remember one time years ago when I Googled Undead Viking to see if I had made it yet, and I found this really bad heavy metal band called Undead Viking Mafia. It's called Undead Viking Mafia, and it was just, and I'm like, oh, and I was like, this is interesting. I played it, and I mean, I used to be really big into heavy metal, and they were not good at all. But they have quite a following actually, so good for them. I wish them the very best. So, cool. Well, thanks a lot for everybody for coming in and having fun. Bobby left, so I can't really tell him thank you, but I'm sure he knows that we appreciate him. Did anybody have anything in the last? I mean, oh hey, those of you who play in the D&D thing, we need to figure out the next time to get together. It'll probably have to be towards the end of February because I've got the convention coming up, not this weekend but the next, and then I have I'll be out of town the weekend after that as well. So end of February. Let's think of that.
Sounds good.
For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, we are running a Roll20 Pathfinder campaign, and some of the people that are here right now, actually several of them, Anthony, Keith, Marty, and Rhiannon actually play in that, and there's 3 other people as well, so something you want to look at. That's on my channel as well if you want to look that up. It's called Boom Quest, so that's what I'll pimp. Watch the first session of Boom Quest. I think it went really well, and Rhiannon showed her true colors there at the end. So
well, if you've been paying attention. So anyway, it's fine.
How many F-bombs can we expect in Boom Quest? I'm just curious.
None.
I don't think there are any.
No.
I don't think anybody did. There was some PG-13 behavior towards the end. But,
well,
3 more hit points and you would have heard one.
Gnomes are little people. You start giving them alcohol. Hey, what do you expect?
Yeah.
I need to go back and watch that. I've got it saved in my to-watch list.
Yeah. So, but I mean, and to be fair, I think Rhiannon was in real life. She'd had a few as well. So.
Perhaps there might have been imbibing on my part.
There you go. But All right, good times had by all. Thank you so much for taking the time to be on this, as always. For those of you who watch this, I appreciate you greatly, and those of you who are watching this after the fact, I appreciate you as well. So, hey, friends and neighbors, I can't wait to see you all again in person, hopefully at Gen Con, and take care of yourself, okay?
Okay.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
Right.